either you enroll. Pardon. Either you enroll or you opt out. We covered that in the workshop, so I'm fine with that, but I would like the meeting to properly reflect.
So that was talked about at a budget workshop meeting. No,
I don't see it in the minutes.
I don't see them minutes either.
So you want that added to the minutes?
Meeting.
I can research the last couple
January
meetings
2nd.
and look at it.
That's what I'm looking
No,
for.
actually, looking at December 18th, Jesus. Wonder I can't.
How far along were they?
I'm looking through the minutes and I can't see where. I'm looking for your bullet points, recharge charging franchise.
Yeah, research, recharge, so,
She prefers 2 meetings advanced to read through long contracts and be able to research.
all right, so, it actually isn't in, it's not in these meeting minutes.
No.
It was in a budget workshop.
It was a budget workshop that we talked about it when we brought up the wages and insurance.
I just searched for your name in meeting minutes and it's,
Is there budget minutes?
No, because it was in December that it was discussed. So I can pull up old minutes and find it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's not it, 'cause
I have it in my notes on my desk for the
Okay.
meeting.
okay, fine. I read it when I was prepping for the meeting.
So it has been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good, motion carries. So we will move on to the department report. So. Not a whole lot more, or a whole lot new for me. I'm still adjusting, getting used to everything. Getting my sea legs. I was out sick for the better portion of last week, so I was not able to make it around to meet with all of the business owners like I was hoping to. I really do want to get down and talk with all of them. I want to be able to build a good relationship and have them take stake in the city as well. You not believe there's anything else on mine? I think that was pretty much.
Mayor's meeting.
Yeah, I did attend my first mayor's meeting. That was a lot to digest. I do look forward to the upcoming meetings. There is a lot of good information. I did learn a lot. I know that Commissioner Brummer is gonna be coming down to meet with me. He did not get the chance to, so I do look forward to that as well.
Park board meeting.
We did have a park board meeting. It was actually pretty good. We had a lot of really good information come out of that. It was a really good working meeting that we had off after as well. I will continue to work with them closely to kind of get a feel for all things park board. There is a lot that goes on there. So as the next months come up, that'll be one of the things that I'm really focusing on and working closely with them. But yeah, that is pretty much all I have. Chief, do you have anything you would like to add today?
Can I ask you
yes,
a question since that you report? I know that we talked about making a policy for discontinuing a meeting, canceling a meeting. Is that the council's purview or is that the park board policy?
That one, it would be something that would be per committee.
Isn't that, well, yeah, park
They
board is.
do
is per
report,
committee.
yeah.
But technically, you're supposed to give like 24 hours notice before any meeting is canceled, so.
I think that does differ for inclement weather though.
Yeah, this is true.
The question is there a policy for that?
We do not have a policy for that.
And so is that the purview of the council or is that the purview of the park board to make that policy?
That is incorrect. There is a policy
there
for
is.
that. There is a policy for the meetings for park board that is written, that exists.
And do you know if that was written? by the park board, or was that done through council?
It was written through council.
Okay.
It
so
is
then,
written
yes,
through
we just
council,
will need
it
to
is, in the policy book.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Chief, anything to report?
No, usually give the status report at the beginning of the month.
Yep.
So
Perfect. All right, we will move on to things.
End of the year items have been started. We got all our 1099s and W-2s out. We've got all our 2023 boxes put away and have started to pull reports for our 2023 SAO report, which took like 6 or 7 months last year. It should definitely not take but 2 weeks this year. I spent a lot of last week working with the chief, with a new hire. I've been training Carly on public records requests, which we've kind of got slammed with this last week. And I have been getting ARPA together. So we now have an accurate total of ARPA funds. And then since all of the money went into our general fund, we had to kind of transfer money around and figure out what went where. And so I got all that done. And we are working on doing another transfer to the LGIP account, which will be nice because the interest has been beautiful coming in every month. That's really it. Any questions? Nope.
All right, we do have, we did not have anybody from Public Works able to make it today, they were excused. But I do have their report, so it does look like we did have a volunteer doing some training that's doing the daily testing at the treatment plant, to be able to help cover John on his weekends off. They are still working on running through the digester, that should be able to be finished by next week, hopefully weather permitting. It looks like John did go through all of the equipment and checked all the antifreeze to be sure it was ready for this cold weather that we did just have. We did have an issue, the residents up on Hemlock Street had called in a complaint that the sewer was backing up into their house. Mike did go out, he inspected it, he pulled the manhole on the sewer main line and it was open and flowing from all of the other residents on the line and no other complaints. After looking at the sewer maps, they had determined that it was the side sewer and not the main sewer, so the resident had a plumber come out and did a camera line from the house out to the main, and they did discover that there was a break in the city's main line, and it was not a side sewer, so the contractor did come out with a vac truck and had it repaired that day, and it's been noted on our main maps now, so that going forward, there will not be a question about whether or not that's the area. He did meet with the master meter, water meter guy, so that they could get John, looks like give John's contact information, since Mike will be leaving us at the end of the month. And that is all he had. He's been out a couple of days sick, but other than that, things seem to be going well. Any questions?
I did.
Yes.
Is there any way we could have, is there any way for John to tell us whether or not we might have a break or things we need to look at as far as our water sewer?
This one, I don't know that that's anything that they would have known.
They do inspections. There's,
Smoke tests.
and there's also certain sewer lines that they do inspect yearly. I think LNI requires them all to be inspected. So that is they do have a policy and a procedure for yearly inspections, so.
Okay, so, but there's no knowledge that they could impart to the public.
It's unexpected. It's not
Yeah.
something that they could foresee. And they did go out that night also and checked everything out. It wasn't until they got the cameras down in there, the resident called a plumber, because everything looked like it was on their end. So the plumber came in with cameras and was able to find what we couldn't see. So it wasn't something that we would have been able to catch, even if they had inspected it that day, which they did, so.
Yeah, and when I had spoke with Mike, he said that the reason that they really thought that it was a side sewer is because all the other houses in that area were
Were fine.
flowing totally fine. So he's like, and he said that they had gone back, and I believe he said it was like 95, they found notes from down at the plant saying that area had had an issue in the past. and it, like, the line had broke, so they adjusted. So I asked them to please put together, to really go back through and notate all of this so that going forward, it's, we could have known at that point, oh, it's at a different angle now, so we need to go in or make somewhere different.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a lot of cleaning that up, but they do know, I talked with him and John, and then can you please find all of the information you can? We just need to make notes as we're coming across those things so that going forward, we really do know.
Can I also ask why the city is the only one that won't come out and mark where your lines are when you want to dig?
That I do not know.
We do.
Big city does.
You have to call 611 and then they send out a like service call to the power company, the gas company, and then we also get one here, and then I send those over to John and he goes out and he marks them. And it has to be done within
See-
48 hours or 72 hours or something.
Yeah, the city was the only one that wouldn't come out. I got, the Toledo Hotel
When was
You mean
it?
that didn't come out? So
Yeah.
you-
When was it?
when I moved here.
Oh, I can't answer for that, but no, we get them all the time and I send them out
Actually, I called for a locate and the city never came.
in 23. Is it the beginning of 23? Because I didn't know what they were, but they come out now.
Learning the.
Yeah.
Yes, we're
Get a
getting
call,
there.
Mayor.
I think Cliff was probably.
All right, any other questions? Nope. All right, we will move on to council reports.
I went sledding down the hill. Whee! Was fun. Thanks for closing it. Let's see, I'm a little disappointed that, we have not used the snow plow for the city sidewalks. That we have purchased for the city. Or salted the sidewalks for the city for citizens. Other than that,
Might have a chance to do that tomorrow, so it's just snow here.
It's rainy right now.
I'll just go home and get my flat shovel and start working
That's a
for free
lawsuit
for the
looking to
city.
happen.
Yeah, you know what it feels like.
So as Rachel said, we're kind of was helping work on ARPA and the pig or LGIP. We have an affection thing for it, we call it the pig. So that looks like it's all happy. That was kind of the final
Yes.
thing, is to know how much more we can put into it now, and let's see, I helped Sharon block off the hill. That was kind of fun,
It was.
and that's about it.
What hill? Cause I missed it.
Yeah, it's
The middle
You can, there's
school
still, there's.
You can
still
go
snow.
sled.
You can go
Where?
sled.
The middle school hill.
Fifth.
in front of the middle
Yeah.
school, Fifth Street.
Okay.
So from the very top down to Callis.
See, you guys have to clue me in.
Next time I will grab you and we'll get you a sled.
We'll get a
Okay.
saucer and leather. Go down.
And I went to Phoenix and it was only 60 degrees on. Don't have anything else.
Yeah, you're excused.
Yes.
I have nothing made to report.
I got nothing. Happy New Year.
That's quick. All right, and we will move on to our committee reports. I know we do have Todd with us. Is he speaking on behalf of?
He's using that time slot, yes.
Yes, okay, so yeah, so we'll let Todd speak in place of the planning commission.
Thank you, Mayor DeVore, members of council. For planning commission, I think you heard in your last meeting that we've now transitioned planning commission out of the building permit review. That they will still stay in development review for a lot of other development subdivisions, and short plats and some of the other housing developments too that are above the threshold. So that process has changed. So planning commission will no longer hear building permits as of your November meeting. I guess they did hear a building permit review in December, but that was just because I hadn't communicated the policy back to them that had been approved by council. So everybody's in agreement there. The main item that I would like to get a bit of a discussion on tonight is tomorrow's Plan Growth Committee meeting for the 2025 Comprehensive Plan Update. The Comprehensive Plan Update process is led by Lewis County. So, so we will attend that meeting. Mayor DeVore and I will attend that meeting tomorrow. One of the things that they're going to be asking us is if the city plans to expand their urban growth areas. I don't know how much detail you need on urban growth areas, but that's basically the area that's outside of city limits, but it's an area that the city plans to grow into in the future. And the 2025 comp plan update, it'll be a 20-year plan that they come up with. They're required to update it every 7 years. So, so what they're asking us to do in that planning process is to identify land that the city needs to provide housing and jobs for the city, among a number of other things. But that urban growth boundary would be areas that the city may seek to annex at some time in the future should the population grow to a point when they need to grow the city. Based on past discussions, I do understand that the desire was to expand out toward the freeway interchange, the what's that, 505 and I-5 interchange. We did submit population numbers to the county, and the county Board of Commissioners did accept our population growth numbers, and those are now part of the planning basis. The numbers that we submitted showed the large population that we anticipated from Cowlitz Meadows, and then also projected out growth for the next 20 years, and showed a fairly significant amount of population growth for the city. So that would be supportive of an urban growth boundary expansion. Right now, we've, with the annexations that are still in process, that we talked about last year, we will have consumed almost all of our urban growth areas. So one of the things that I believe is likely is that the city of Toledo would like to expand their urban growth boundary, and to expand that in a direction that's out along 505 towards the I-5 interchange. And the area that got expanded into would just depend on what the process for the comp plan update shows. There's a lot of analysis that we need to do to show how many houses and jobs we need to serve the population growth that we've previously approved and got accepted by the county. And then we also need to look at critical areas. We need to look at where the appropriate areas are to grow. But tomorrow they're asking us to generally identify if we intend to expand our urban growth boundary. And then the second is, if we know approximately where, they're likely to ask us that too. So before I got in front of that committee in that meeting tomorrow, I wanted to have that discussion with council. And then the other question they'll be asking us is if there be any areas that we'd like to remove from our urban growth boundary that are currently inside of it. From reviewing the maps, I think that there may be some areas that aren't suitable for urban development that we might consider taking out, or other areas that may never develop because either they're overly constrained or they exist in an area that is used primarily for agriculture and they have no desire to ever stop doing that. So there may be some areas that come out and then other areas that go in is what I believe to be true. But I'd really like to hear from members of council and have a discussion on that to be sure that that is what you all want and I'm representing the city correctly tomorrow.
I don't believe that we have anything. Do you know of anything that could come out?
I don't remember specifically, but it looked like there were some areas. I believe it was somewhere around that there was some agreement or something where the city would never go across the river and into the areas of where the RV park is over in that area, and I believe that area is inside your urban growth boundary. So So we may, I mean, if that is an understood agreement and you never intend to grow in that direction, it may be good to remove that from your urban growth area, or it might not be.
No, that's not, yeah, we don't have a trailer park in our urban growth. Our urban growth area exists, it's basically pretty much gone.
Yeah.
There's a couple lots, south, at the end of South Toledo. But, and then I think they're right up next to the, if I remember correctly, right up next to our wells. Is, a little tiny sliver. But I think we assumed that when the next annexation happened, or when the urban growth extended out, that those would get assumed kind of as part of that expansion.
Was there anything up along Plamondon maybe that is still in the urban growth boundary that wouldn't come in for one reason or another, kind of up behind the high school?
On the east side,
It would be more on the east side of Plamondon, yes.
quite maybe.
Most of it
Most of it.
on the east side of Vermont.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple houses, and I believe that ends at the map. Is
And I believe tomorrow's, if it helps, I think tomorrow's discussion can be fine tuned with our analysis, because the county can't expect us to know, because we haven't really done any of the analysis that's required for an urban growth boundary expansion or deletion for that matter.
but
I think
right,
now they're just looking for some early indication as to whether or not we would like to expand, so they can begin their planning process with the right mindset. And then
I agree with you that we should be heading out towards exit 63. The urban reserve is urban reserve is the area that the county's set aside for our future expansion. So I think that going along with that is probably a good thing. We could ask to, I guess we could say that we want to push all the way out to the freeway. Since they're basically stopping a couple plots or a couple lots before that.
yeah, and so the idea that we could convey in the meeting tomorrow is that we'd like to expand the urban growth area, and depending on the analysis, that we would expand out into the areas that have been identified for the urban reserve, and consider what the volume of the land is based on the analysis that comes out of that. I don't think we need to say more than that tomorrow. If you specifically wanted to get on the record of saying that the city is interested in expanding all the way out to that junction at exit 63, then we could do that. There may be reasons to express that now, mainly because I think when the neighboring jurisdiction's looking at annexing a portion of that, although I think that expansion kind of died at the county level again. So there may be some reason to state that desire in the meeting tomorrow, although there may be just as much reason not to. So this is the discussion I was looking for, though.
Okay. Yeah, there is urban reserve that goes on the east side of I-5 as well, and that touches up against Winlock. And there's also a few gaps between our current UGA that we've just are in the middle of annexing and at the urban reserve. So there would be, I guess that's for a little later on, isn't it?
Okay. There are also some parcels out Toledo Vader Road that are outside of the city's urban growth area. That there have been some calls for development on those. This is across, I think it's the WashDOT station, or there's that.
There's the whole chunk of RDD 5 that is kind of what sits between our UGA and the urban reserve. So if you were to bring up if you're wanting to see it, if you were to bring up the GIS and turn on the urban reserve and turn on zoning, it's kind of pretty apparent where our UGA and the urban reserve, the RDD 5 that's between them.
Okay.
So there's some nice square lines that could be created. What is
I
that?
do see that too. So the idea that we would expand not only out toward exit 63, but maybe out Toledo Vader a little bit into those areas as well.
Yeah,
Just make sure Beasley's incorporated.
Eventually.
that's actually quite a way down south.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess if that's all the discussion that there is on that, I can take those cues from Counselor Hayes and I can move forward into that meeting tomorrow. As I said, this isn't written in stone. I think the county is just looking for some early indication so that they can, they've recently hired a consultant to do their comp plan update. And I think what they're doing is looking for direction to give them in their analysis as to where to look for urbanized areas throughout the county. And I think it's nothing more than that at this point, although I'll dive into that more deeply tomorrow in the meeting when everybody's there to make sure that I'm clear about what the purpose of this is. But it was stated in the last meeting that that this was just an early indication and wouldn't be anything of a commitment from the city, but just looking to get on record as to state generally what they were looking at for urban growth boundary expansions.
Excellent.
Anybody else have it?
Yes, can you tell me where and when the meeting is tomorrow?
Yes, I can. Tomorrow, the meeting is at it's at the Lewis County Courthouse, downtown Chehalis. And the meeting, I believe, starts at 1 o'clock.
And they do Zoom,
Thank you.
so if you want to zoom in.
Yeah, Jamie, if you were to Google, Lewis County, Growth Committee.
Growth Committee, yeah.
Some information.
Yeah, so they also have it up on their website under their 2025 comp plan update, and they have the growth committee and all the past meeting minutes and all the upcoming agendas, as well as the Zoom meeting links.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything for Todd? No? Okay. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think there is one other item I have further down the agenda, so I'll hang out for just a bit longer.
Yep. Go ahead.
No.
So-
That's the one that's down here.
Oh, that's the meeting
next. Okay.
And do we have somebody here from the park board?
Yeah.
Would you like to give us a bit of an update?
Sure, we had a meeting this week, and we also had a workshop to go over a lot of the to go over the campground rules. And I thought it was a pretty good, productive meeting. We had a lot of good discussion with Shirley, and Cindy has looked into a lot of different things and different options for us. So we're moving along good with that. Part of the discussion was actually trying to expand a little bit and make some more tent sites. It would increase the number of campsites that we have available, which would give us an opportunity for some tech funding. So that's one thing that we're looking at. We also, one of the, our challenges have been getting board members, but we have another potential board member sitting here with us tonight. So that's pretty much it now.
Anybody, any questions for?
Any questions?
Are you coordinating with Joe as far as the grant and what?
I've talked to her briefly, but I'm not involved in it at all, no. I believe
Shouldn't-
that Emily has been working with her.
Shouldn't the park board be involved?
It's more of a council, like, so the park board works with Joe a little bit, like Joe has an idea of what the park board wants her to do. Like, we have all of this outdated park equipment that needs to be refurbished and replaced, right? So she has gotten us money specifically for that purpose. And so in doing that, she has not received specific, like, I want you to go get me this specific piece of maybe she has, I don't really I have not been in a conversation with her in several weeks.
I can speak on that. So
Okay.
there's a meeting at the end of the month that her and I are attending, and from there we'll have more guidance on how to move forward with this.
Yeah.
So until that meeting, there's not much we can do anyways.
Yeah.
I think it's the 31st or something like that. So her and I will both be going to that meeting.
Yeah.
And so then she'll be able to bring back to the park board what we can and can't do.
Okay, but again,
Who's that meeting with?
It's the tourism, ROC or, yeah,
Okay.
or the
Or-
LPAC or whatever, yeah.
It would be great to
I,
wrangle Mary into that.
yeah, I think that's something the park board would like to be more involved in.
Yeah,
Maybe
you should-
part
I
of.
think they
So
should be looped
if you
in.
could, I'd be happy.
I can forward you the
Myself.
information. It's mostly on, the guidelines and then how to get the money back and.
Yeah,
with that.
so
I think that'd be helpful.
what she has is she went to every single piece of equipment that we have in the park and she got the name, the number, the serial number of that equipment and then went to the manufacturer and then got all of the, the equipment. Some of that, they don't even manufacture, so it's like a lot of this has been a labor of love for her. So it's been because of this last year and the last several years, having guidance for her is not necessarily something we have totally given her. So, we are working with her. She is working with us. She is getting money for the city. The money that she's getting for the city comes with a set of requirements that says, you have to do this. You need a paper trail, right?
I get that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, there are people on the park board who could assist her with those tasks. And then it wouldn't take as
Did
long.
not exist then.
We'll
I
be
think
sure-
just
we'll
did
be
that.
sure-
We're gonna, I think.
Yeah, we'll be
that-
sure to include the park
yeah.
board. I hear what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Any further questions for the park board? All right. We will go ahead and move on. So it looks like we do have a public hearing tonight on the Bushland Alley vacation. So did we, yep, we got the.
Something to her about me. I
Yeah.
put in
Oh.
my fully charged
That's-
hearing
yes.
aids at 4:30 and they have absolutely malfunctioned. So I will need to lip read or talk very directly.
We have we're gonna do a public hearing.
Public hearing.
So we'll open the floor for the public hearing. Is there someone here that would like to speak
Yep.
on? Is there someone here that would like to speak to the Bushland Alley vacation? Yep, that'd be up to you. Yep.
Tell us about.
No,
that.
he doesn't-
Sure, you can.
Oh,
you can actually.
yeah.
So with that specific property, I know that we're looking to vacate the alley to make his property whole. At this point, part of the alley is inside the building. So we're needing to do this alley vacation to give him his entire property. So do we have anybody else with?
This has apparently been a problem for an incredibly long time. Ordinarily, an encroachment of that type is taken care of before a transfer of property. This has been through 2 or 3 property transfers with nobody addressing it. I would simply like to rectify that and bring things back into accordance with where they should be.
I think we should do that or use it for storage, one or the other.
Or
I
you
have a
take
question.
chainsaw and cut off.
I have a question.
We get to ask questions too.
Oh.
We do, but it does look like Joe's got his hand up as well. Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Yep. So my question would be, when was the last survey? It looks like it was September of 2003. When I had my building surveyed, the surveyor said any property within about 3 blocks of the bridge, the west end of the bridge, is typically 20 feet or more off. So that's why I had to do a survey of my property when I bought it, is because the city wasn't sure where the property lines were. So I don't know how old the survey was at the time, but I had to update it just because every property is so far off in this particular spot. I would recommend you do a survey and make sure that property lines are actually where they're supposed to be.
There is a survey in our packet that
I
does.
saw that. And
Yeah,
it
that
said,
does call that
right.
out.
it said 2001 or 2003 or something. It's hard to read. And I don't think my survey was even that old, but I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I also have another comment. Would it be wise to put some EV charging stations in and pave that lot? That would be better for business, in my opinion. It would bring more people to town because we'd have the only EV charging stations in probably 12 or 15 mile radius.
You know, and that is
They gave
definitely.
away $7 billion over the last 3 or 4 years for that. And no one around here has them.
I do, but I wasn't sure.
In fact, they just authorized like $650 million more recently for EV spots like that.
Yeah, we actually looked at the, or Jamie looked at the EV grant. And it sounded like it was still wicked expensive for us, right? Seemed like the bulk of the cost.
What happened was that we had to put out costs before we could get
Right.
other money back on
We
it.
need to bring it back to the alley vacation.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Alright. Thank you.
yes, and you did have a question, correct, Jamie?
I did. Oh, yeah, because it's been messed up for so long, and I don't know who I need to address this to. Because it's been messed up for so long. If we approve this, is the records then going to reflect the entire boundaries of this property so that it's correct?
Yeah, we would record it with the title company and they'd fix it on their end. And so there'd be no more issues moving forward.
Okay.
But am I correct that it will only correct that
It's only that
parcel
sliver.
Yes.
to cover what's
Correct.
where the building?
Yeah, we're not even
is?
talking about that other area. We're just
'Cause
talking
that's
about,
city
It
property.
would become a
Correct.
0 lot line. Yeah, so it's a 4.5 foot
Okay,
on one side and 5.5 feet on the
and
other.
when someone mentioned the EV.
We
That's
did have
on
an
city.
appraiser evaluate the value of that,
Mhm.
and I'm perfectly willing to pay that.
Mhm.
And the other thing is, if this takes place, are the setbacks in line with what our requirements are?
Yeah, the commercial, in our commercial space, most of the buildings are on a 0 lot line.
So is this taking this and moving this line 4 feet over?
So do we want to get into being
That's-
done with the?
yeah, we're done.
Yeah, we're done with the public hearing.
Gavel the meeting back in place.
Like, back to the meeting
641.
at 6:41.
Yeah.
Okay. We do not have any special presentation this evening. Do we have any public comment on agenda items? No. All right. Does Joe have his hand up? Or is that-
Joe, is your hand still up?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, so on to new business. First one is the ordinance 798, which is the Bushland Alley vacation. It's the first reading. That is an ordinance for the city of Toledo, Washington, vacating the right of way for the alley of parcel 006712001000 Kellogg Way.
I make a motion that we accept ordinance 798 as written. And we accept the monetary compensation as written.
I second that motion.
So I have a question, this green arrow.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there some discussion?
Jumping in there, this green arrow that points to something I'm not quite sure where. Is it pointing to 4 feet on the outside of this building? Is it pointing just to the building? Is it?
It's-
What
Yeah,
exactly?
it is easier to see it, it's easier to see it in this, what you call it,
How
area,
much
the
of this
survey,
alley is going down?
4.5 feet. So here's this building, and it's all,
Yeah.
that's why they give it, but it's, so the lot already kind of juts out here towards the end, so it's 4.5 feet, 5.5 feet.
Okay.
So it's literally just a little sliver.
Yeah. Okay.
It, you know, the door is right there. Honestly, I think we should store our stuff there.
Oh.
I mean, we've got ready
So
access.
he can just.
We'll let him
take
borrow
it
the
out
door.
And
Yeah, basically that,
$5,000.
yeah, that part will just scoot over.
All right, thank you.
So is this the same one that we were just talking
Yes,
about?
yes.
Okay, let's try to keep on the
Yeah.
same page. And, do we feel that a survey is in order?
A fresh survey.
Hmm.
I'm not sure it's moved.
When was the survey that is referenced in our materials
It
done?
looks like it says 2002. But it's a little,
So is the problem because it was improperly recorded or improperly surveyed?
So if I can, and since I'm a member of staff, I think I can jump in and help out here.
Yes.
So a lot of times when people are developing in rural communities, they don't often have an accurate survey of their property when they buy a lot and build. And there aren't oftentimes property corners to reference in a lot of the older towns. The surveyors didn't set property corners. The county assessor or auditor does their best that they can when they're presented with a deed to locate it, and they put those parcel lines down on the GIS map. So the GIS maps are not known to be accurate at all, and oftentimes they are 20 or more feet off. For survey records, unless there's a change in some of the monumentation that they use for their control points, the surveys don't really change that much over time. They might vary by a couple of inches, but an actual survey of a piece of property is a lot more valid than a tax map. Tax maps are representations of those things. So when we're talking about requiring a new survey, unless there's been something that's been known in the region, and I see Mr. Notch has his hand up, so maybe he's aware of such a thing. Usually survey monuments don't shift that much over time, and the surveys that have been recorded are usually valid unless there's something that's found to be a bust in one of the control points. So that's what I had to offer. I hope that helps. If there's any other questions, I can try to answer those.
Yes,
May I
Joe?
make
Are any
may I
of
make a
these
comment?
observations, things I need to be able to respond to?
No,
I mean, according to this survey, it has their,
Joe has his hand up. Yeah. Mayor.
oh, sorry. No.
So as I understand it, I don't know when the new bridge across the river went in, but I was told the monument is on the southwest side of the bridge, somewhere over by the pavilion. And that is different from where apparently it used to be, which I believe was by the old bridge, which is just pylons now. At least that's what the surveyor that I had was trying to explain to me. The person that might actually know would be Ron Smith, since he used to do that for a living.
No, he is not in attendance tonight.
Yes, they did move that monument.
They did.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, that was part of.
When the new bridge was, they had to.
It was on the north side of the old bridge.
So when they relocate a control point, then all subsequent surveys would use that control point. But when the surveyors remonument or relocate a control point, it doesn't invalidate all of the other ones. It's just that the control point had moved. So I guess, and I'm not familiar enough with with the city to know if an error had been discovered and it had been replaced where it should have been, or whether or not, if that's the case, then the surveys that had been done prior to that would have been inaccurate. But generally what happens when they do road construction, if they need to move a monument, is that they do a survey and they record it. So that shows the old location of the monument and the new location of the monument. And then any surveys going forward don't necessarily move property lines. They just start from a different baseline point. And it's documented about how those fit together because they know exactly where they moved the monument from and to. And that's not uncommon when it comes to roadway construction or bridge construction. And it doesn't really invalidate the surveys prior. It just changes the base point for the new surveys going forward. And I don't know if that's the case here or not. But generally, a surveyor would have known that the monument was in a previous place when they did their deed research and when they researched the monuments they were using, and they would have adjusted it appropriately.
So just for timeline's sake, the Cowlitz River Bridge was built in 1994.
Okay.
So the survey was after that date.
Okay.
And this survey is actually calling out a number of points here. There's one on 505 and Second. Yeah, so it sounds like this is after the bridge.
Yeah. So does that mean that the movement of the monument would affect this survey?
No,
No.
it was done before.
That's-
Any more discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and call for a vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
So we're setting up a storage shed over there?
No, we're not setting up a storage. We will be moving on to resolution 277A, which is the 2024 wage benefits step schedule. I will accept a motion.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 277A, the 2024 wage benefits step schedule.
I will second that with a modification that the medical / HSA contribution is $865 a month. And the longevity portion of that will be zeroed out. But there are incorrect numbers for everybody but the senior public works operator.
Did somebody need the second
Nope.
year? I don't.
No.
Probably, but
Well, second year.
I'm still trying to get to where we're supposed to be.
Is there discussion on the 2024 wage benefit? No? Okay. So we will go ahead and call for a vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Last, order of business on the new business items is the variance permit for KR Homes. Accept the motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the variance from Ricky and Arms.
There. Second,
I'll second it.
it's been moved and seconded. Do we have discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
You. Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm just wondering if this will set a precedent for somebody's, if they own half of one of the blocks here in Toledo, or 3/4 of it, of setting things smaller than for even the ADU. Because these are very small parcels.
Well, they're cut the lots in half, the requirements in half.
No, it's not. It's
Three of the lots are 36 feet wide by 84 feet
Yeah,
long.
so they're-
One lot is 35 feet wide, one lot is 27 feet wide space.
the triangles, yeah.
Yeah. So they're very small, and that's 5 houses that you're putting on a half an acre. It is setting a precedent.
It's a variance though, and, Todd's report talks about by having open space nearby allows for the possibility of having a little bit more French. And the state level is asking cities to build more housing a little bit more dense. I agree, I worry about a precedence, but I think it's pretty well spelled out in here under a specific situation for this particular lot. Is the way I read it.
And I couldn't tell which counselor was speaking, but that is very true. We wanted to be sure that we were specific enough. In this case, it looks like it's supported for a number of reasons, and I did try to highlight that in the findings and the discussion in the staff report. In other cases, those same situations may not apply, and that's why a variance comes to council for approval, is because they're discretionary requests. Council can either approve or deny variances based on the circumstances of that specific request. So in the staff report, I did try to highlight the specific reasons why staff was supportive of this. And I don't believe that those would apply in every case in Toledo, and it would be a hard argument. I mean, generally, if somebody were located, I guess, around the school and in close proximity to downtown and had all of the same criteria that are cited in the staff report, then there would be some obligation to treat them similarly, but it doesn't open the door for everyone in every circumstance to be granted the same variance. The site-specific findings are pretty specific in this case.
Yeah, given the odd shape of, thank you, Doug, given the odd shape of this lot and its location near the school and the park, so we have good walking to school, and the fact that it's good for Toledo. You know, we dodged a 3-story 12-plex, and instead we're getting nice individual or nice homes on a small lot.
So is this the same piece of property?
Mhm.
Okay, because my question was, and I can't remember all these names and everything, is did we not previously grant him a variance?
No, we sold him
earlier?
the alley.
So, yeah.
Right, it was a,
Okay,
so it made the whole block available.
Is there any further discussion?
So lots 1 and 2 are duplexes, and so this is that, yeah. that's
Correct.
right. So this is 8 water sewer hookups and 8 permits.
It's 9, it's actually 9. I think lots 1, 2, and 3 are duplexes. Was it total?
No, three's already there.
Okay.
Yeah, this makes this
Was
is
it
house.
8? I thought it was
But-
9.
Well, it's 9 total on the block with the existing homes.
So lot 2 would be a duplex.
I believe, are those duplexes?
Mhm.
I believe those are duplexes.
How do you get a car on that? How do you get 4
We're just
cars
looking
on
at the
that?
variance right now. He's gonna have to figure all that out to get a building permit.
How do you park 2 cars in there?
Yeah, so I can help out there too. For this request, he is simply requesting a variance to allow the more flexible zoning standard that would normally be allowed for lots that were 1 acre and larger. Your code allows for flexible lot sizes with this standard. So he's just asking for less area to be allowed to have that standard that's normally reserved for 1 acre and larger lots.
Right.
For looking at the specific development, although it might be enticing to think about the the additional revenues for the city for utility connections and such, it's not really a criteria for approval or denial of the variance, because the resulting lot development, once you approve the variance to allow him to use those standards for this, then he can use them for those standards for this. So the variance request is coming before you tonight without a specific development proposal, although he has shared with staff, and I think that's what Councillor Hayes is commenting on, his plans for the lot. But the variance would be approved running with the land for a period of time, and certainly you could condition the approval of the variance for a period of time tonight. You could say we grant the variance as long as he submits an application and goes through the process for the resulting development within 2 years or within a year, or whatever you choose. That would if the project didn't move forward for some reason, that would be kind of a stopgap to basically not allow somebody else to come in and do something completely different. But once you've approved the variance to allow him to use those lot standards on this tract of land, he can get the resulting lots in that way, and then he still has to go through a short plat process, which is going to have planning commission approval. And in that process, he'll have to demonstrate that he has building envelopes to achieve what he wants to do, and that the lots are of an appropriate size, as well as a bunch of other standards that come with the application of the special standards for the zoning. So to consider the resulting development tonight is maybe not, first, it's not really an approval standard for the variance, but second, it's maybe getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, because none of us exactly know what the resulting development is going to look like until he goes through the approval process. There may be adjustments made to some of these lot lines to satisfy zoning and land use requirements and other requirements that planning commission may impose as it goes through the process. So
Okay, thank you, Todd.
Thank
That makes sense. And so really, we're just approving
Just the
the
variance.
cluster zoning.
So we have a motion in effect, right? I'd like to amend that motion. To amend it to that the variance is not transferable to a new owner. And that it take place within 2 years.
I'll second that.
The amended motion has been moved and seconded. Be okay, we'll go and call for a vote on that. All of those in favor
Aye.
and opposed? Perfect, motion carries. All right, so we'll go on to our unfinished business. It looks like we do have the Wiggle Stop contract update. I will need a motion to approve it, to move, and so that we are able to move forward with that grant. I know that we had already gone over it. There was just some wording that needed to be changed around the nonprofit.
Now move that we accept the tourism service agreement for the lodging tax agreement with the stop.
I will second that motion.
It looks much better.
I'd like to publicly thank Jamie for getting the details done.
All right, so it has been moved and seconded. Do we have any further discussion on it? Nope. All right, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Perfect, motion carries. All right, we shall move on to the other business. If I could have our new, oh, yeah, do you want to do the park board first? Okay, perfect. And then I still have mine too. Yeah. So let's go ahead. We'll start with, we do have the member that is looking to become one of our park board members here. I do recommend that we appoint Stephanie Rouse as the incoming park board member. And
I
I
would
get,
also recommend that too. She came to the park meeting and she was very enthusiastic. So thumbs up for me.
can I get a motion?
I,
A motion to approve that.
I will move that we make the park board appointment. Stephanie. Rouse. Be approved for the
Park board team.
Or-
Second.
park board.
All right, perfect.
Did you see the second?
I second.
Okay.
All right, so it has been moved and seconded. All of those in favor
Aye.
and opposed? Perfect. We'll move on to the other unfinished business before we All right, so you guys should all have your 3 documents in front of you for the other, for the citizen that we have that is requesting an adjustment to their water bill. So,
I rearranged things.
oh,
I know, I just did.
so there was, back in 2022, there had been documentation brought to council that this was an ADU that was being rented. They were charging the people that live there. So council had said, yes, we're going to charge you double water bill. That got buried and did not see the light of day for quite some time. By the time that it was found, we are now to the point where they got billed for the first time. And at this point, that ADU is no longer, that it's not a rental, it is nothing. So they're asking for us to reduce the water bill to what it should have been, since this is not a rental. And it has not been since, it looks like since June, yeah, May. Oh, August, yeah. I will accept the. Yes, go ahead.
This is the things I'm.
Yes,
We're
those are the
looking at-
things, yes, those are the things that you are looking at. So this is the current water bill
Okay.
that they just received, and that the amount of the water portion up there
Mhm.
is reflecting it as if it was still a rental unit, which it has not been for quite some time.
So a rental unit is at a higher rate or?
Yeah, the documentation that the council had done back in 2022 said, hey, if you're gonna use this as a rental, we're gonna charge you, your water bill will be double. Essentially, well, there is no tenant and has not been, it looks like that was issued on May of 2023. And they just now received a water bill that is doubled, and it is not a rental and has not been. So they're
Yeah, it
asking,
should have been applied in November of 22. It was in a stack of to-dos in Devin's file. And by the time I was able to get to, let's play catch up on stuff, that's when it was found.
Yeah.
Do we charge double on rentals?
This was something that was passed through council. I'm not really sure. I think that somehow it came up that he was charging them rent. And so it was just something passed by council.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
considered an ADU and we
I
do
don't know
charge a
what
water,
ADU stands for.
additional dwelling unit.
Oh, okay.
So we do charge per dwelling unit.
And they were using double
And they
the
were-
water. And so I'm not sure if that's how it came about, I'm not really sure how it got brought up, but they were using between 16,000 and 20,000 gallons of water, and the normal is 8,000 gallons per household.
so what's brought before us tonight, or before you today, would just be, they're asking for an adjustment for the water bill to be made what it should have been, since this is not a rental.
Have they asked for any adjustment this year?
I do not believe so, no. And I do not believe last year either.
But they weren't being charged double.
They weren't,
They were not.
from during
The first.
November of 22, when it should have taken effect to whenever their tenant moved out. No, they were not being charged what council had stated that they needed to be charged.
So
And they're.
on this one, they only are using 6,200 gallons, is that right?
Correct.
And they weren't, and sewer wasn't added into this?
No, it was, the letters in there, but it was like, they doubled their water portion. And then they didn't change the sewer. And then they allotted them 16,000
Is
gallons.
that house on septic? 'Cause I know it's on an acre, so.
I believe it is, yes,
It's on
but,
septic, okay, so.
but whatever it was passed was just, and it wasn't doubling their water bill, it was just adding a different, like a whole nother service. to
Yes.
be- Yeah.
So that's why I was just wondering why it was only water, so that house is on septic.
Is it?
I don't know, is it, or,
Mm-mm.
so why?
I thought this, I think the sewer is for the second meter. The kitchen itself, I think is on.
Oh,
sewer,
okay, maybe.
But I think the house is on septic.
A second ADU would be a water sewer, but that, why did we not?
It was in their basement. So they don't have a separate hookup. They were,
Right, but we would still charge.
yeah, I don't know. It was 22.
Yeah.
So how does this pop up in 23? I'm.
Because when I got here, there was a stack of things that Devin had on her to-do plate. And it was at the very bottom of it. We still have, I mean, there was agendas that never got filed. So I mean, it was a stack this big that we had to go through. And by the time I got through it, I started just, chipping away at it. It was,
Come down, and play the size of the stacks. I mean, there were
Yeah.
stacks.
Yeah.
So,
There's
so
still stacks.
manually you put this in.
yeah, manually I did. And when he had come in the other day about something else, I had let him know. I don't know if he just wasn't hearing what I was telling him, but he just kind of said, okay, but I did let him know, hey, we found this, it's not us doing anything but just following what council set in 22, so.
Okay, so this is not something you're gonna have to keep fixing every month.
No, I can change that myself, and I went in and manually did it and set up his water, bill the way it was supposed to be set up in November of 22. It just got done a year later.
Am I correct that they're asking for $435.26? So the difference between 509 and 74?
I think they are looking for just the additional two,
So it was a whole fee. They didn't just double their water. It was like
your base rate.
254, I think is what they were adding on to their water. I don't know how or why they came to that, but that was what was in the notice that was sent to them, and that was what was in the minutes that were passed in November. So again, I don't know how they came up with that. But their bill should be 267.10. So whatever the difference is what they're asking for.
Yes.
I think it comes out to like $254.
The water portion should be 267.10.
No, the entire portion should be 267.10. The way they had it laid out, how they wanted them charged. I don't know the rhyme or reason to it. I just know that that's what council had instructed
So that's
City Hall to do.
480.
That's about $480.
86 cents. Is that what we're talking about then?
So it would just be the two, you said it was 254 they were charging.
It's, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have their minutes.
Do you know what the water consumption for the first half of 23 was?
Yeah, it was high. It was like 16,000 gallons, and you can literally see when it dropped. It went straight to 6,000 gallons. So you can see about June is when their consumption dropped.
So this is water
So
that
they-
were consuming.
Right, so they had a tenant or were using a mass amount of water from January to June or May or whatever it was. And then that's when,
But they would
I
have
guess we
been
could get
paying the
what-
overage
Yeah.
fee on.
correct.
On,
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, adjust the bill down by $480.96.
I'll second that motion.
And then we have discussion.
Well, we were discussing.
I just want a clarification that they were paying as a normal water and sewer person, any overage.
Correct.
All through that time.
Yep.
This is just,
This is us
because you have
catching
that
up,
favorite
right?
work, this is that doubling because it's. an
Correct.
ADU.
I don't suppose you recalculated that they wouldn't have been over if they had 280, if they had two.
Right, if we can just get a motion really to just take the additional ADU charges off would be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll amend my motion to just take the ADU additional charge off of this bill.
I'll second that amendment again.
And,
So this is,
and what is that amount?
It's 2.6, and depending on how much water they used, it should be their base rate is 267.10. Again, I don't have the notice that was sent to them. It's in the office.
So were they sent that in November and December?
They were sent notices in November.
And December. It looks like, cause their water was down in November and December.
We're talking about 22.
Oh, in 22. Okay.
Yeah, so they were sent a notice that this is what we were doing. They came to the council meeting.
Yeah.
They wrote a letter and the council said, do this. It never got done. By the time it got done, this is the outcome of it.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to, since it's no longer an ADU, get this bill back down to where it was supposed to be. Moving forward, we'll have a regular bill.
so I'm sorry, I'm still lost. So
242.20 is the amount.
No, that's not, yeah. What,
So what they're asking, so the bill that you increased was for the first half of 2023.
no, it was literally for one billing cycle. So they were not charged for the ADU from when it was set for council, when council said do this, it did not get done until this last billing cycle.
Yeah, so there's.
So they got the whole, whatever, how many months, 6, 8 months that they had their tenant in there, they were still not being charged the way council laid it out for them to be
And
charged.
so what we're saying now is we shouldn't do that. That's what the motion is for, right? That we don't charge them for the water while they had a paying resident and they were consuming the water.
Right, I mean, we can say to back pay them, I don't know that that's what you guys want to
They
do,
were
but
paying the excess
The overage.
The overage.
Yeah, that's pretty much almost free.
Yeah, well, it's kind of our fault too.
So you're saying they're roughly like 8 over, so they were paying like an extra $25 a month.
I guess I don't quite understand why a council in 2022, or why we have a policy of charging double.
For each
It was a
unit that
second.
has a water,
Yeah.
We would charge
Correct.
that residence.
But I thought I heard that this only has one hookup.
That's two.
It does
It
have.
has
one
one
hookup for
hookup,
the
but
house.
it's basically being served by 2 residents.
He was getting rent paid and that's how.
It would be like, yeah, it would be like, we have a fourplex that only has 1 meter, right? So they still pay 4. So he basically was turning his house into a duplex.
A rental.
Equivalent, a rental, yeah.
So the city just wanted to be compensated for it.
And you are correct, that is a problem with our billing, and that's one of the
Yeah.
things we're needing to work on is. We shouldn't care about that, right? Because we should be charging enough for the overage that extra 8,000 gallons every billing cycle
Would have covered.
would have been paid for.
Yeah.
So, it had it been $10 per 1,000 over, they would have been over $80 a month, and guess what? That's just about the price of the water.
Correct.
So now we're saying then for that period from November 22 until May of 23, they should have been getting charged this amount.
The
And
additional
didn't.
2.
And so
That
the
was.
city is short about $1,000.
That was
That's
because
about right.
Yeah, and that's,
I'm
the
just
prior
ready
staff
for
never,
Motion.
Yeah, the prior staff never had pushed forward, and by the time our current staff was able to find it buried in the midst, so I mean, it's definitely not the patron's fault, but.
So they should have expected a larger bill along the way there when that
Mhm,
happened.
yes. Any further discussion on this?
And we, each resident of Toledo, if they come to council with a letter and so.
And the breakage and
a
the receipt
breakage
for a
and
fix,
receipt for a fix, then we can,
and this does not fit into.
no, it's like, no.
Yeah, so what we're doing, since we were speaking earlier about setting precedents, we're gonna have somebody come in that says. I just filled my swimming pool, my water bill is too high, I want it reduced.
I do believe also, since it was something passed by council with a vote, I think taking it off of the ADU status also needs to be passed as a vote, if I'm not mistaken, right? Since it was something set by council. Now that it's not an ADU.
Well, let's see, we have a second ADU on our property and we paid 2 water bills, and when the person moved out, we shut the water off. So council didn't need to say anything about that.
Okay.
Well,
But we don't, it's because we don't rent.
so Rebecca did amend to take the ADU charge off the bill.
Okay.
Which
Oh, that's the way we're doing it, okay.
We good? I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All of those in favor?
What are we voting on?
To take the ADU charge off the bill,
Well,
Yeah.
and are we also reducing the bill?
this current bill.
So Rebecca moved to adjust the bill down $480.96.
No,
Emily seconded and Rebecca amended to take the ADU charge off the bill, and Emily seconded that amendment.
So now we're voting.
yeah, that's incorrect. Because. Rachel said their base charge is supposed to be $267.10. The base on this is $509.30, so the balance would be $242.20, correct?
You said bill. No, because their base rate is $267.10. So their water charge is supposed to be $74.04. So like Eric was saying, it comes out to about $480. I don't have the notes. We didn't bring those with us. I don't have the notes, what council designated to be the additional fees.
It's normal.
I know their bill is supposed to be $267.10. So if the motion is total, yeah.
Okay.
So if the motion is just to take the ADU charges off, then I can adjust it accordingly, and their bill will be 267 total.
For the water.
No, total, yeah,
Okay. Since the bill has not been paid.
Correct.
yet. Okay, great. So does someone want to amend again to get it correct?
Well, I'm not gonna vote for it anymore. Let's see, we need to.
You can just let it die too, that's something.
So it sounds like the amendment is the correct motion.
Correct.
Which is to take the ADU charge off the bill.
correct.
Okay, I make a motion to amend that we just take the ADU charge off the bill. Is that what
You've already made that amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but just take.
Oh, I see, yes, so, okay.
And that's it.
Somebody needs to say.
Second it,
I'll second it.
okay. All right, so it has been amended, moved and seconded. All of those in favor?
I,
Nay.
But so wait, all we're voting for is to have it no longer be an ADU.
Correct.
Not discount it, they're doing.
Well,
Yes,
this bill,
was
this bill's
okay,
getting
I'm
discounted.
unclear on all this.
They're wanting to take the ADU charges off this bill and future bills.
Well, if they don't have if they don't want it to be a rental anymore, that's family living there, then
Yeah.
it's not a rental.
Correct.
I don't even know, council needs to vote on that. I mean,
This is long then.
well, we voted.
it's quite
done.
confusing,
Yeah, it passed.
It is.
but all we're doing is.
Discount the bill.
Yes.
No.
No, we're
no.
not discounting the bill. We're just removing those charges.
Correct.
I'm sorry, can we actually have a name to vote? Because I did hear a
I'm
name.
completely lost.
Emily was an A.
I'm completely lost
And I
then.
didn't hear
Okay.
anything from Erica.
Are we reducing their bill?
We're taking the ADU off, so we're giving them the normal basic charge. We are not refunding it.
Correct.
But Rachel was saying that she's gonna release this bill.
So you're going to create a
Oh,
new,
but it hasn't been paid.
an adjusted
Okay.
bill
Yes,
to replace this.
And that's why it's gonna be, the bill's gonna be different, but it's not a refund.
exactly.
Okay.
Are we good now?
I think so.
Okay. Can we
So
move?
basically, we gifted 6 months worth of water to the ADU.
Correct.
Yes, and they should know that.
Mhm.
They should be advised of that.
And I'm still not clear on the vote.
Everybody said yay except
Emily.
Emily
And
said
Rebecca.
nay.
And Rebecca.
Oh, you named too?
I wanted to-
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
They should have known for 6 months. They could do that.
Right,
I'm just.
but that has nothing to do with going forward.
Right.
It's not. That's.
Right,
This is,
so we get-
the billing.
it's the vote's
Sorry,
done.
it's gonna
Yep,
pass.
it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so our last other business tonight is something I think we've all been eagerly awaiting. Oh, if I could have our new officer come up and join us.
Don't we start
We
it?
didn't have it, so we- And I do my part first.
I do my part first.
You do your
And you do
first.
yours first. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna hand this.
Hi, your name?
Terrence. I'm gonna write it over. Or who do you think answers with that? Either of me.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I have you raise your right hand?
Of course.
And repeat after me. I, Taryn Carter, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Taryn Carter, do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the constitutional laws of the United States,
that I will support the constitutional laws of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
the ordinances of the city of Toledo,
the ordinances of the city of Toledo,
and will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
and will, to the best of my judgment, skill, and ability,
truly, faithfully, diligently, and impartially
truly, faithfully, diligently, and impartially
perform the duties of the position of lateral police officer
perform the duties of the position of lateral police officer
for the city of Toledo, Lewis County, Washington,
for the city of Toledo, Lewis County, Washington,
as such duties are prescribed by law, so help me God.
as such duties are prescribed by law, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sign there.
So Chief, are you gonna?
So I'm very pleased to announce the hiring of Karen Carter as a lateral police officer for the city of Toledo, Washington. It's been a long search, as you know. It's been over a year and a half. We've been looking for the right candidate, and we believe that Karen is the right person for the job. Karen has a background in military, serving in the United States Army. Also in police investigations, military police. Previously worked at the Kelso Police Department for a period of years. And then also holds a reserve commission with the Castle Rock Police Department. And so, like I said, we're very excited to bring him aboard. I think that he has some great ideas to further the goals that we have and our missions and values as a police department as a whole. So we're going to read the law enforcement oath of office. So now he's been sworn in twice. But I would like to have Bill Lynn come up here and Randy Pennington as well.
They don't remember me.
So Bill is being targeted to be our school resource officer for the police department. This is Bill right here. If you want to turn on Bill. And then Randy, everybody knows Randy. He was a longtime sergeant for the city of Toledo. And we actually have a day named after him. It's called Randy Pennington Day. The man is a legend. So.
For it's not.
So in order to do this, I want to have Bill go ahead and stand right over here. Okay, Karen stand here. Randy over here. So raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Taryn Carter,
Do solemnly swear that I will support
do solemnly swear that I will support
and honor the Constitution
and honor the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
Bill of Rights,
Bill of Rights,
Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a sworn police officer,
as a sworn police officer,
law enforcement, MMIW ally
MMIW ally
of the city of Toledo
of the city of Toledo,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
and carry out faithfully,
and carry out faithfully,
impartially
impartially,
the duties of my office.
the duties of my office,
So help me God, Creator.
so help me God,
Creator.
Creator.
Congratulations. Picture, Randy.
Right here.
Picture. Let me get out of the pictures.
There you go.
I'd like to give him just a piece of advice from an old salty dog. It's a great town to be a part of. But your most important mission is at the end of your shift, you go home. Amen.
Hey, good to see you.
And now Karen's gonna say a few words. We're gonna get out of his way. This is a part where you can ask some questions.
She pretty much covered my background. I mean, I come from the Army for 5 years and did investigations there and with Kelso Police for close to 3 years there, and just really looking forward to serving the community here and being part of what's going on and some of the changes going on. So yeah, that's kind of the extent of it. I'm married. My wife will be here today. She's not feeling too great, so we'll have to bring her in another time to meet everyone. But yeah, that's all I got. If you guys got any questions?
Welcome.
Stand next to you. Get a picture of them too, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you, wife, for staying home.
Well,
Get more pictures. We'll get it this one.
Perfect.
Awesome.
It's nice to have you.
Yeah, cool. See that go.
Yeah.
I'll give him a copy.
All right. So it does not look like we have any current executive session. Right, and I will accept a motion. Oh, it's not even on, oh, it is. Is there any public input today on non-agenda items? Now I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Perfect, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
This is like the most sweet one of the bill.
That's why they were having two capital improvements on there and they kept calling me like.
Mayor? This is the most sweet part.
Reading of this.
They only pay one.